I am excited to be here because while I was working on in Dayton, Ohio, the song on the piano, I would go back to the very first recordings and lyric sheets, and I was kind of confused because originally I found lyric sheets that mentioned Channel 3. It was along the lines of, I read it in the paper later that evening, then I saw it again on Channel 3, is what I originally wrote. And then I turned it into, I read it in the paper later that evening, then I saw it again on TV. Some of it was, I think, because there was a confusion as to which channel I saw it on. And some of it was inspiration by a gentleman who wrote a song that titled the name of a song that I ended up recording in the studio with the news reporter's name that was used, that I came across later on in time. Because I wasn't sure which channel it was actually on. Was it Channel 7? Was it Channel 3? Was it any one of them? I thought it was a single-digit number, but I wasn't 100% sure. I'm not from the Ohio area, so I did not know. As I did my research, I tried to make the piano song more in alignment with the Playfully Purple version, which is the full-blown version of the song. I continued during this, not just go back to the very early recordings, the demos, the writings, looking at pictures of myself during that time, trying to get back into the Huber Heights psychology so I could capture that in the recording. Because I remembered very clearly as I walked downstairs and turned on the TV, a news report was on, and I swear to you that I saw the news. I was not raised to be focused on the news. That's just me. Don't look to a person, but to focus on other things a lot of times, because what's on the news is not necessarily good news. It is news being shared of what is happening, which a lot of times is not the most uplifting. And I could have sworn, when I reflect back, did they say about 1 year ago today, and they shared, was it one story? Was it two stories? Was it another story that happened in 2010? I have the dates written down of when I wrote the song with my records. And the closest I could find in doing research, and I'll explain that later, I tried to get a report on the incidences, but I was unclear myself still at that time if it was Interstate 70, Interstate 75. I didn't get any information. The one officer, sergeant, that was at the scene of this occurrence didn't necessarily fit the profile of the officer that I thought was on TV. But the situation seemed very, very much the same, only this one involved a taxi cab. So it also touched me when I saw the news report on YouTube. Somehow later on, after talking to somebody at Channel 2, I think it was, and after calling a couple other stations, they had mentioned to me that they post some of their reports, if not all of them, onto YouTube, and left me know that they usually hold on to, I think, the reports for up to 1 year, and then it goes into some kind of system. I'm not sure right now because I don't have the facts 100% with me. So in other words, I could probably obtain it somehow that I could see it, and I found Channel 2 on YouTube. And when I saw the news reporter, I was almost certain that that was the person who was speaking, and then I learned that he spoke for both of them. Was it this one? Was it another one? They were both on Interstate 75, and that's where I am right now. Right over here is Interstate 75, and this is going northbound. And on the other side is southbound. So I'm just going to give you a little bit of information on this one, and then I'm going to go and we can see the scene. I was hoping to videotape the interstate. I drove down on the other side. They're doing road construction. And I was hoping that I could get video of the interstate in the lane where it supposedly happened, according to the news report. It was in the center lane. Well, the lanes are a little bit different right now because they're doing road construction. So I wanted that to add to my video blog because one or both of these were what impacted my brain that day. As in the song, there was a girl that was on TV, her child maybe, and I saw someone cry. I could have swore that I saw someone cry. Then I cried really hard, and I went upstairs. I'm not now, but I was feeling strongly suicidal for a very, 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 very long time. And I'll be honest with you, I was scared to commit suicide because I was kind of afraid I would live through it. I didn't know how it would feel to die. I didn't know how it would feel, which way would be the less painful way. And if I lived, then what? Would it be worse for me? So I tried to stay strong and stay alive and find reasons to live. And that's part of the reason that I wrote songs. And when I was downstairs in the living room at Huber Heights and I saw this, I went upstairs into my bedroom when it was in the front of the house, and I sat on my bed and I grabbed my guitar. And with one of the most pretty songs that I've ever heard in my life, as music, I wrote words to it. And my heart spilled out this song in Dayton, Ohio. It took me 45 minutes to write it. The music was inspired by one of my favorite slow country songs by Alabama, which starts off, "It's her first night on the town, since she was just 18. A lady down on love, and out of hopes and dreams. The ties that once bound her, now all broke away." Is that right? "And she's like a baby, just learning how to play." And my favorite is the chorus. "Now she's a lady down on love, and she needs somebody to gently pick her up." I like when he says this. "Now she's got her freedom, but she'd rather be bound or found with a man who would love her and never let her down." My mom used to listen to that a lot, and I used to watch her listen to it a lot. And I didn't know why she'd keep playing it over and over and over again. But I love that song, and I'm sure I didn't play it exactly like they do, but I ended up over the years inspired by "When the Children Cry" by White Line. And that's one of the few songs I learned the details on acoustic guitar. I was so happy. And I even told a lot of people that as I went through life, I don't usually learn details of somebody else's songs, but I really, really, really loved that song by White Line. And the way that that song is, I kind of established my own way of finger picking without a guitar pick. And I would tell people it's one of the few songs I can actually play with my fingers and not a guitar pick. So I was in the bedroom and I kind of played it very close to that. So I kind of picked it sort of like "When the Children Cry" with the Alabama song chord progression. And that's how the storyline I heard, which didn't line up to this one. When I did the research, I was confused. And I thought maybe somebody somehow played a joke on me. It was real to me, but what was coming through the TV. Maybe I'll never find out and be able to tie the two together, because I was hoping that I would somehow have very heart deep relief. I wanted to know more about the person and why it happened, if she was suicidal or if something else happened. I have notes. This here is for exit 47 on Interstate 75 going southbound. From everything I watched in the video, and you could see it too on YouTube on Channel 2, the title of the video is "Woman Hit and Killed on Interstate 75," posted on Monday, August 24th, 2009. That's when the post of the video was, which is approximately 1 year. I'm not 100% sure right now. My first recording is on Tuesday, August 24th, 2010 at 10:29 p.m., almost 10:30. So this was a year later that I wrote the song from this date. The lady here on exit 47, from what I learned, don't believe the details are correct. Just know that I have the basics I got. I don't know. But from when I watched the video, it says a woman was trying to cross the highway when she was hit in the center lane right here. But I don't know exactly the spot. But when I saw Jordan on the Interstate 75, the one sign, though, looks different. It was changed, I think. It was approximately 1 mile from the next off-ramp, which I'll show you. According to what I know and what was in the video, the lady was taking a cab from Dayton, Ohio Greyhound bus terminal, and she was heading to Miamisburg. At some point, I don't know if it was from the beginning or not, she was upset and insisted to the driver, I'm assuming, for her to get out. The semi-driver thought that he hit a deer, according to the video. I guess somebody got on the radio and left him know that he should pull over. It was later learned that it was a lady. I was curious to know, did they ever figure out why she got out of the cab? As far as I know, the Moraine Police Department was here at the scene, and the person's name was Sergeant Russ, R-U-S-S. I think it's pronounced Imler or Imler. Now here's what I want to say really quick. In 2009, I don't have the date, I went with the person that I came here to Ohio with, tornado chasing. And I was kind of excited about that because I like to travel. I needed something new. I wanted to do, not adventure like Reckless, but adventure-esque kind of thing. You know, go on a journey and enjoy life a little bit and try something new and spend some time away from everything. And here's how it ties in with me with this circumstance. When we arrived eventually down in Austin-ish, Texas, the person I was with and I got into an argument. I don't remember if I insisted or he insisted, so I'm not saying, for me to get out of the car. And he left me out of the car, and I went to a hotel. It's the first place I went. And it was the first time that I was away from home without my own transportation, that far away. So I had to think of how am I going to get home? Back, I think, to Ohio, at least to get my car. I think that's when I was living in Beaver Creek with them, or staying there at least. And I decided eventually through it all that I would get a Greyhound bus for the first time. I ended up going to one of the bigger cities that are in, I said in my life story, Texas. I'm not looking at the map right now. They went somewhere else first, and then I think I got transferred on, and my bus driver, the second one, most certainly was a very friendly one. That's where I wrote my red jacket on their seat. They had a wire pop through the bottom of the seat. So, long story short, when I heard the story and I watched it a few times, I was thinking to myself, why would somebody want to get out of the car at that point? The traffic gets heavy, the traffic gets backed up. I've seen it myself a few times, quite a distance. Was she somebody who was short on money and was kind of trying to catch a free taxi ride and therefore got out of the car and then ran across the street to try to make it over to this side where I'm on? Because if you look, when I show you, you'll see that there's a lot of trees and bush. It would be very difficult to run that way. So it makes sense that if somebody was in the car to get out to run, that they would run towards the center lane where there's more grass clearing and they could run in that until they could get over further to cross over. And then, did she live around here or something? Or know somebody? It also made me kind of suspicious in the fact when I watch and replay the visual in my head, it seems more like she was scared for her life and that they were into an argument. And if they were in the argument, meaning the driver of the taxi and her, and she was scared shitless, because of things that he was saying or things he was attempting to do, or if there was more than one with her, then she would make a bolt to get out of the car in fear for her life. And therefore, if you are scared, traumatized, when you get out, confusion will sort of be in your brain, especially if it was near dark. And you're going to try to run for a clearing to get away from the car, is what it seems like to me. I think she ran to get away from the car. And if I told you things that were in my mind, and you would understand that there has been something or someone assigned to me since birth that talks to me, it's direct mental communication somehow. And if I told you that sometimes when somebody was talking to me, my brain would let me know different things at different times, and I would have a hard time wondering and thinking, why do I think like that? Meaning, I don't want to think what I'm thinking, but I'm thinking and it seems like it's pretty bad. So when I go up here, maybe I'll have a chance to tell you more about what my brain was telling me while I was watching these videos, which the last thing I said makes a lot more sense to me. Sometimes I think to myself, why would I say things if they were not true? Because I'm more of a vessel of truth. My curiosity is I wanted to know what the final outcome was in writing from the police department and the investigation. And I was wondering if, what was the result of that? That's it. So we're going to go for a walk here. Hopefully I don't get in trouble when doing it, because evidently I'm here by a company, but it seems like a very safe place to be. So I didn't want to be on the interstate, but close to it. So hopefully everything's okay there. Okay? Though I'm on the other side of the interstate on a safe walk here, you can see the sign as in the news video. I'm going to zoom in on that. I don't know for sure, but maybe Jordan was on the other side, somewhere in this area, do you think? Because there's the sign. As you can see across the street, there's lots of trees, a lot of bushes, where on this side, there's a lot of grass. Which would be a lot of visually, especially if it was close to night, it would be very obvious that there was a clearing here, and it would seem that that's why the person was heading in that direction. Because if you're running to get away for any reason, it just seems like you would not run towards all the trees and all the bushes. And I don't know how familiar maybe she was with the whole entire area or the city. I just want you to know that I don't know anything else about her. She was on a Greyhound. She might have been an escort. I don't know that. Don't get upset, please, because I said that. I wanted to know what some of the reason was as to why she was in the taxi cab and where she was coming from. Not to be nosy, just out of curiosity. I feel really bad for the situation because I once drove truck. I prayed often that I would never hurt anybody when I was doing so. And there were times that I drove when I was really tired. There was times that I drove maybe a little faster than people would have cared to know. I said my prayers, I hope for the best. And I'm not laughing about this, but I hit a deer driving a semi-truck. I was very fortunate because it's startling when you do, even in a semi-truck. The impact of it is pretty hard. I shared some of my other stories with my muscle car and stuff, and even my Cavalier. So whether it was a tiny little car, a muscle car at 100 miles an hour, or a semi-truck, the impact of that you most certainly do feel. I would like to say that I am very grateful that the driver himself came back, because there are, I'm sure, a percentage of incidences where people continue to drive on. What I want you to know is I do not know the details as to whether or not this is the place when you get into where the actual accident happened. While the news reporter is sharing the story, drive over in that direction. Okay, there's the 1 mile sign to West Carlton. The top portion of the sign, I think, is worded differently now. There might be a different street name. I'm not sure 100% for sure if this is location. This is facts that I gathered up, hoping I was correct with that. But what I seen on the video, which was very, like, kind of blurry, was here in the center media. Right there, that yellow truck just went. It appeared to be that there was at least a vehicle that was parked there at that time. So I don't know if this happened up the road further. I don't know if it happened down the road further. You could watch the video if you'd like, and maybe you yourself could figure that part out. But when I see officers, which I'm going to hopefully walk over here and see, there is a unique structured building that is kind of like a circle, like a half circle. I forget what the business is actually called. Though the video is blurry, the video footage is, I think, at night, or is it early in the morning? It looks like it's the one. That's how I ended up here. I was a little nervous because I didn't know if any of the businesses would mind if I just stopped by quick in this video. And it looks like it's a bunch of businesses. Go up to the fence line. Over there, if you see that round right here, that's what I think I see in the video. There's an officer walking somewhere around here, this area. In the video, the officer's walking like around the bridgey area. You can see that in the video, but I don't know 100% if that is the building. It just looks like that. So don't take my word for it. When I was making my music video, though it was unclear to me whether or not it was Interstate 75 or if it was Interstate 70, hopefully this doesn't come across too freaky for you, but I sincerely wanted the opportunity to be as close safely as I could to where the spot happened, because I was touched greatly. I wanted the opportunity in my video to share the message. The message isn't done with the song. My hope was that it would inspire others to be aware, and always possible, to be considerate in life as we're going. Maybe we don't really understand that another person's going through some very, very trying times. And just because it might not look that way when you see someone doesn't mean that they're not dealing with a lot. If I don't like something within a human being, I try to get away. And with others, during that time, I heard many testimonies, and I understood that, like, in my circumstance, I can't say it was solely for a transgender topic, but whether it's an adult entertainer, a transgendered person, somebody in the LGBT community, or just some human being, pick one, anyone, for any reason, they're dealing with their own psychology. Is it depression? Is it because of worldly pressure? Is it because of finances? Is it because of people they're in relationships with? Is it some kind of medical kind of news that they just found out? You know, that's what I wonder sometimes. It could be any reason whatsoever that drives somebody to either jump off a bridge or truck, okay? When I'm looking over here and I was looking at the video, it just looked to me like this was very clear, and that maybe they were trying to make their way up and over that bridge. Obviously there's a fence here, and there are some people that are more able than others to leap over a fence or to climb a fence. I don't know what's all up the road here, but anyway, that is stop number 1. Hopefully the things I'm saying is not irritating anyone. I am very relieved that I've done the research I did. I wanted to hang my smartphone on my window. Well, for starters, I'm doing some work on my dash, and it's not the prettiest dash right now because it needs some upholstery work done. And I don't want to put it on the outside with all this traffic and stuff because a lot could happen and I don't want to miss my phone. I was hoping to get some video footage for this video, actually, so that I could kind of show what I know about it within the video. I just want to say, on an off note of the circumstance, it feels pretty neat to be in a video scene area, not because of a tragedy. It just feels good to be on what was like a set location or somebody sharing news that impacted your life at some point, whether it was in 2010 or if it ended up being more recently in 2021, 22, when I was doing research for the song and I came across the more details. During that time, I wanted to be standing here, sharing that with anybody who's interested in listening to my video. I thought that in Dayton, Ohio, despite of the detailed storyline, is one of the most beautiful songs after the Playfully Purple recording was done that I have ever heard. My finger slide work was inspired by Mick Mars, I think, if he played on the album Without You by Motley Crue. Because remember, I'm not talented like other people, so I kind of slow things down and I do the best I can. So without you, without you. I don't know the words to it. Something come down on me. Without you in my life, I slowly will. Without you, without you. You're the reason. That's it. Check it out. A very busy interstate. It seems like it's a lot busier than when I first came out here in 2009. I don't know statistically if that is true. I would say, in my honest opinion, especially when you get up here to the off-ramp, I have seen it backed up. Is it up to this bridge, do you think? Is it that far? It's pretty far. I know it's pretty far. I've seen it when I was riding a bike trail. I think the bike trail kind of goes along here. I've seen it when I drive up through here. I used to go down to Cincinnati in a cat costume and play, so I used to drive back and forth through here. I always try to miss the busier times of the day so I don't have to sit in traffic so much. I'm glad to see that they're doing something with the interstate. Hopefully it's a lot safer for people to drive on than not. Do you see this? Okay, I'm heading out. I think talking about this subject, I'd like to speak a little bit freer. I try to do my best to share without getting too emotional about it that I cry, because it is a very touching story. And I most certainly do not want to offend one person. Sometimes I think to myself, how in the hell did I end up in Ohio sharing with you a story of somebody getting ran over by a semi-truck around exit 47 when I'm Pennsylvania Dutch, and I never once thought of moving to the Midwest. Traveling maybe, but not moving. Evidently I got booted out somehow. I hope the world doesn't think I'm more satanic than not, because I'm not. since I went down to Hendersonville Cemetery to Johnny Cash's grave in June, on my way back from doing videos that I've done there, I took pictures because I could have swore that my brain told me to look at the cloud in the sky, and I took a picture and it looks like this really long, in a way, like a long neck, thin body, and a face that's looking right at me when I'm taking the picture, and all I heard in my brain was, "That's you." And I didn't know at that time whether or not something or someone else might be in my brain. So when I did in Dayton, Ohio, the piano, I would have loved to be there. Right there at that fence where I was standing. And then I don't know exactly why I didn't come, but sometimes I get a little nervous if I'm going onto like a property here. When you're doing a music video versus a vlog, even though you're still focused on the camera, there's a lot more going on because you're running the music. You're trying to conduct your existence the best that you can, as quick as you can, and you crank up the music so you can actually hear it over other noise. There's a lot more going on than that, and one little slight of interference kind of throws things off, maybe even for a whole day, because it's almost like you're serving something within the world that is bigger than your own brain, bigger than your own mind can actually handle, and it's almost like it will not be there always. It's there, you serve it while you can, and then in time it seems like it gracefully dissolves as you transition mentally onto other doings. That's why I said when I wanted to record, I wanted to record as many songs as I could by the time I was 50. I was very serious about it. I hoped, this time did I even pray, that something would keep everything together while I do it, because it just seemed like this is going to be a long time. And there's a lot that can go wrong in very little time. I hope everyone has peace in their life, and I hope she belongs to the kingdom of heaven, that whatever was the outcome would be much better for that person and everybody that was connected and associated with that person and everyone that was involved with all of this. I personally would not want to deal with something like that on a regular basis. I have known ambulance and paramedic type people, nurses aides. Obviously, I guess most of us go to the doctor and stuff, and to have to deal with that on a daily basis. I'm so grateful that my greater passions are things like riding bike or playing music or traveling or something like that, you know, versus there's a lot of times I'm very grateful that I did not go after a physician career of some sort, a doctor or an attorney, because I gotta tell you, even in a situation like this, I would want to see justice be served. And I don't mean an idea of it, I mean the absolute truth of it. Something caused that to happen. Now I'm going over to exit 43 at the cross of 75 and Interstate 675, which is a larger, most likely what dominantly was in my head the day that I wrote this song. Being familiar with that story. At one point, for whatever reason, I was driving on 75, getting ready to go underneath 675, and I heard in my brain, that's where it happened. So, with all this being said of everything I'm talking about, something that has to do with the ability to connect with my brain knows more than I guess many of us do. That's where I'm going now, before it gets dark. On to the next place.